Congratulations! You have become a member of Pathway Polymer's exclusive certified autofill processor program. Pathway Polymer is the original inventor and manufacturer of tire fill, and we welcome you because we know you are committed to consistently providing your customers with superior flat proofing. By using the autofill recycler system, you're keeping millions of pounds of tire fill out of landfills each year, thus greatly reducing the Earth's carbon footprint and providing a better tomorrow. Plus, your customers will enjoy the consistent, superior, and reliable flat proofing you provide. Throughout this video, we'll share some basic information about the autofill recycler system, as well as safety procedures, required tools and materials, machine setup, proper tire filling techniques, machine shutdown and cleanup, and general machine maintenance. In addition, you are provided with an operator's manual. Please keep your manual handy so that you have access to more detailed information as well as troubleshooting. And again, congratulations and welcome to Pathway Polymer's certified autofill program. Now, let's get started. The patented autofill recycler system, exclusively available from Pathway Polymers, is specifically designed to recycle used tire flat proofing material. This device provides an avenue to achieve a superior flat proofing while keeping millions of pounds of tire fill out of landfills. Virgin tire fill consists of two polyurethane mixtures in liquid form. Tire fill is stored in two separate containers to prevent solidification. Tote A is the catalyst. Tote B is the pre-polymer. It is very important that the tire fill materials do not come in contact with water while in their liquid state. Water reacts negatively and can cause the chemicals to solidify before you actually want them to. The autofill recycler system is designed for chunks of used tire fill to be loaded into the hopper and ground into a very fine granulate. After leaving the grinding area of the machine, the granulate and the liquid tire fill is mixed together, extruded through a single hose, and injected into the tire. The tire is sealed, and within 24 hours, the mixture, which is tire fill green, cures to a soft, resilient urethane elastomer, or elastic polymer. Instead of riding on air, your customers ride on a soft cushion of polyurethane. The computer-controlled system meters and mixes controlled amounts of virgin liquid polyfill and granulated polyfill to a homogeneous mixture that fills the tire exactly the same as virgin liquid polyfill. Depending on the application, you can control the amount of granulate that is in the mix, using up to 65% post-consumer tire fill. According to studies conducted by independent laboratories, tire fill green will provide equivalent or superior durability compared to virgin tire fill flat proofing materials. It is always important to operate the autofill recycler system safely. Here are some basic items you will need before you begin filling your customers' tires: safety glasses or a face shield, rubber or latex gloves, a lab or shop coat, tire safety cage and chains, covered trash container, and a first aid kit. Since tire fill contains oil, always work in a well-ventilated area. It's important never to smoke around the tire fill mixture or filling area, just like filling up your car with gas. Therefore, no smoking signs should be posted around the area, and an ABC-type fire extinguisher should be readily at hand. In addition, use caution when working with commercial-grade tires. They're already very heavy and even heavier after being filled with flat-proofing material. For instance, a typical 1324 tire can weigh over 700 pounds after being filled with tire fill. Therefore, it is recommended that you use a tire safety cage or chains when filling tires with tire fill. For more information about safety regulations, please refer to OSHA's guidelines. There are several tools and other pieces of equipment required prior to operating the autofill recycler system, such as channel locks, needle nose pliers, a Phillips head screwdriver, 1.5-inch long screws, cleaning solvent, a valve core remover, paper towels or shop rags, 2 5-gallon buckets, trash liners, plastic cups, a drill, 1/4 inch, 21/64-inch, and 27/64-inch drill bits, a reciprocating saw, and a vent area. It's also important to have the basic equipment ready before filling tires. The autofill recycler system, totes of both A and B tire fill material, 8 tires for filling, 2,000 pounds of chunk fill and cleaning solvents, We recommend industrial grade 99% isopropyl alcohol as a cleaning solvent to properly clean and store some parts of the autofil recycler system. Please refer to your checklist prior to using the autofil recycler system, ensuring all needed tools and accessories are readily available. Now you're ready to begin filling tires. Using new tires is recommended when possible, but regardless of whether you use new or used tires, it is important to perform a tire inspection. First, check the tire casing integrity, making sure it is adequate for holding air. Next, inspect the tire for debris. The tire should be clean, dry, and free of any contaminants. Some examples of contaminants include calcium chloride, solvents, sealants, lubricants, dirt, and other foreign material. After the tire has been inspected and prepped, inspect the wheel assembly thoroughly. You'll be looking for metal fatigue, cracks, burrs, and other kinds of damage. Replace damaged wheels or parts before mounting the wheel assembly to the tire you're about to fill. If a new tire is being used, all new tire casings should be pre-stretched to 100% of their rated pressure for 24 hours prior to filling. Before performing this procedure, ensure that the new tire is placed inside the tire safety cage. After the tire has been pressurized, store in a temperature-controlled room for 24 hours. It is also important to properly inspect the chunk fill prior to depositing it into the machine. Chunk should typically be cut into 12-inch sections. Visually inspect the chunk to ensure it is free of any metals prior to loading it into the hopper. Use the metal detecting wand to further inspect the chunk to ensure no metals are present. Fill the hopper area with chunk up to the top of the front side of the autofil recycler. Turn the machine on and grind the chunk until at least half of the front hopper is filled with granulate. Then, turn off the machine at the control panel. After the initial use of your autofil machine, some parts will be stored in cleaning solvents, 99% isopropyl alcohol if possible. It is important to blow excess alcohol off before reattaching them. The next step is to assemble the AB delivery system. The first step is to connect the manifold to the AB check valves. It is important to tighten properly to eliminate leaks. Next, insert the white plastic mixing element into the mixing tube and connect the mixing tube to the manifold. Again, properly tighten the parts together. Your next step is to connect the AB delivery hose to the delivery hole on the injector barrel. It's always a good idea to recheck the tightness on all connections. Prior to filling a tire, lube the injection barrel by running tire fill green through it for a few seconds. Always put a bucket or suitable container under the injection barrel prior to starting this step. Turn the machine on and choose the 40-60 mix ratio. You can run the machine by either pressing the foot pedal or pressing the start button on the control panel. If this step is not followed, the dried mixture can possibly plug the fill hose and back up the autofil recycler. Ensure that both granulate and virgin tire fill are extruding properly into a 5-gallon bucket. Then stop the autofill by pressing the emergency stop button. The next step is to assemble the fill hose and gun. First, connect the sample valve to the injection barrel. Connect the fill hose to the sample valve. Hand tighten only. It is important not to over-tighten the fill hose. Place a disposable container under the sample valve. Connect the gun body to the other end of the hose. Now, attach the fill gun plunger into the gun body. Next, attach the gauge assembly. Hold the fill hose over a suitable container and run the mixture through the entire fill hose and gun to ensure proper flow. There are two ways to properly fill tires with tire fill: through the tire valve stem or through the side wall. First, let's discuss how to fill the tire by going through the tire valve stem. The tire should be safely placed in the tire cage with the tire valve stem in the 6 o'clock position. Next, verify the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI prior to filling. Next, ensure the standard valve stem is loose and attach the fill gun end to the valve stem. Your next step will be connecting the fill gun to the fill gun end. The connection should be hand tight. Press the plunger of the fill gun onto the valve core and turn the plunger counterclockwise until the valve core releases. You will know the valve core is seated if pressure is reading on the gauge. Select the desired tire fill green mix ratio on the autofill control panel. This is determined by the application for which the tire will be used. Press Start on the control panel and begin filling the tire. While the tire is filling, continue loading chunk into the hopper. This is very important in order to maintain proper granulate levels. And again, you will want to see about half of the window full of granulate. After you have filled the hopper area with chunk, go back to the tire area and check the tire pressure. When you reach 20 psi, stop filling the tire and drill a vent hole at the 12 o'clock position in the tread area of the tire and continue filling the tire. Constantly monitor the vent hole, checking for escaping air. Once the tire is full, air will no longer escape from the vent hole. At this point, immediately press stop on the control panel. It is important to note that the tire fill material may or may not ooze from the vent hole. Insert a screw or bolt into the vent hole to seal it. Check the tire pressure reading. Keep in mind that the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI has normally not been achieved at this point. Next, go to the control panel and press the 40-60 ratio button, then press Start. Continue filling the tire until the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI has been reached. We recommend using the foot pedal for this step. Once the recommended PSI has been achieved, press the plunger down to reinsert the valve core. Pull back on the plunger and check the pressure on the PSI gauge. The PSI gauge should read 0. This ensures that the valve core is seated properly. Disconnect the fill gun from the tire valve stem and carefully remove the tire from the tire cage. The tire will be very heavy. It is important to use safety precautions when moving the tire. Carefully lay tire horizontally for proper curing. Allow the tire fill green mixture to cure inside the tire for at least 24 hours in a climate-controlled environment with a minimum temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. You can also fill the tire through the side wall instead of the valve stem. Startup, machine assembly, and tire and wheel inspection are the same for both injection types and should be completed prior to following the steps you're about to watch. After setting up the machine and tire, your first step is to assemble the fill gun with the needle attachment. First, attach the gun plug to the gun body in place of the plunger, used for filling through the valve stem. Next, attach the needle to the gun body and tighten with channel locks. Next, insert a plastic bullet onto the needle. The size of the needle and bullet is relative to the size of the tire you are going to fill. At this point, you're ready to drill a hole into the tire. A 27 64-inch drill bit is used for large bullets, and a 21 64-inch drill bit is used for small bullets. Drill a hole in the side wall of the tire at the 6 o'clock position. Insert the entire needle and bullet through the hole. At this point, you are ready to start filling the tire. You will follow the same steps during the filling process as you did when you learned how to fill a tire through the valve stem. When tire pressure reaches 20 psi, drill a vent hole at the 12 o'clock position in the tread area of the tire and continue filling the tire. Constantly monitor the vent hole, checking for escaping air. Once the tire is full, air will no longer escape from the vent hole. At this point, immediately press stop on the control panel. It is important to note that the tire fill material may or may not ooze from the vent hole. Insert a screw or bolt in the vent hole to seal the vent hole. Check the tire pressure reading. Keep in mind that the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI has normally not been achieved at this point. Next, go to the control panel and press the 40-60 ratio button, then press Start. Continue filling the tire until the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI has been reached. It is important to note, at 50 psi, it is possible the needle could push out of the tire, allowing fill to flow from holes in needle. It is best to carefully hold pressure on the gun, keeping the needle and bullets inside the tire until the tire manufacturer's recommended PSI is achieved. Once the recommended PSI has been achieved, pull the needle out of the tire until the bullet is visible. When pulling the needle out of the tire, make sure to cover the holes on the needle with your hand or a rag to prevent being squirted with liquid. Unscrew the needle from the bullet, leaving the bullet in the side wall of the tire. Carefully remove tire from tire cage. The tire will be very heavy. It is important to use safety precautions while moving the tire. Carefully lay tire horizontally for proper curing. Allow the tire fill green mixture to cure inside the tire for at least 24 hours in a climate-controlled environment with a minimum temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Congratulations! You have successfully flat-proofed your customers' tires with Tire Fill Green and the Autofill Recycler System. Your next step is to properly shut down and clean the autofill machine. The residue from the tire filling process will cure in a short period of time in the parts and hoses, making them unusable for the next filling process. Therefore, proper cleaning of the parts and hoses on the autofill recycler system is critical. You will begin by disassembling the fill gun, cleaning all parts of excess tire fill, and store them in cleaning solvent. Place a disposable container under the sample valve and make sure the 40-60 ratio is selected on the control panel. Then, switch the Clean Run valve to Clean. Press Start on the control panel. Run at the 40-60 blend on Clean until you notice the material thickens. At this point, you have flushed the AB mix from the system. Press Stop on the control panel. Press Virgin High on the control panel and run virgin material to remove all crumb material from the hose and gun assembly. Next, open the sample valve and quickly grab the fill hose and lift it high. This allows all the remaining liquid to escape from the fill hose and gun assembly. Remove the PSI gauge from the gun assembly. Wipe the diaphragm clean of debris and store in a safe place. Next, remove all remaining parts of the gun assembly, clean, and store in 99% isopropyl alcohol. Then, remove the gun body, clean, and store in alcohol. Next, remove the fill hose from the sample valve and allow it to drain into suitable containers. Remove the sample valve from the injection barrel and store all parts in alcohol. Next, remove the AB mixing system. Start by loosening the manifold and the AB delivery hose from the injection barrel. Remove the entire AB mixing system, being careful not to drip tire fill mixture. Place the AB mixing system over a suitable container. In this case, we use the bucket of alcohol. It is very important to fully disassemble the AB delivery hose, mixing tube, and mixing element and store all parts in alcohol. Remove the mixing element from the mixing tube and clean thoroughly with alcohol. The mixing element is fragile and should be stored in a safe place. Next, thoroughly clean the AB check valve using 99% isopropyl alcohol and a spray bottle. On the control panel, press and hold the jog grind and jog injector buttons simultaneously until dry crumb material exits the injection barrel. Next, wipe the injection barrel clean of any liquid material and dry crumb. Press emergency stop button and turn off the machine at the main power source. Last, shut off both tote valves. Congratulations! You have successfully shut down and cleaned the autofill recycler system. These important steps will allow you to be prepared and ready for the next time you fill tires.